Liverpool rocked by shock twists on and off the pitch. Don't miss a second. Subscribe now for instant Reds updates, exclusives, and breaking alerts. News headline: Andy Robertson set to stay at Liverpool despite Tottenham transfer interest. Liverpool left-back Andy Robertson has drawn interest from Tottenham this month, but the Reds have decided against sanctioning a deal due to a lack of options in defense. Andy Robertson is expected to remain at Liverpool this month, despite the Scotland captain having interest from Tottenham, with the Reds lacking options in defense at the current moment. Spurs had registered an interest in the player, whose contract is set to expire at the end of the season, and held preliminary talks over a move. However, with a limited number of players available at the back, it would have been a risk to lose a leader from the locker room and a quality option. Turning 32 in March, Robertson is out of contract at the end of the season. As first reported by The Times, the decision has been made to keep him around for the remainder of the campaign due to a lack of alternative options. Robertson would only ever have been allowed to leave Liverpool if it was the right thing for all parties. It is understood that having assessed the situation, including looking into recalling Kostas Tsimikas, that has not transpired to be the case. The player, who has been at Anfield for 8.5 years, did not agitate for the move and remained professional throughout, though he was open to exploring it and has expressed a desire to play regularly. What do you think my answer is going to be? Have I ever said anything about transfers in front of these microphones? Arne Slot said when questioned on the situation on Saturday. My answer is always the same, and it's quite boring to always give the same answer. We don't talk about transfers in public. This weekend, Robertson came off the bench at halftime as Liverpool lost 3-2 at Bournemouth. He replaced Milos Kerkez, whose load was being managed by Slot. There was not an injury, and I wouldn't say it was tactical, the Reds boss explained. It was obvious already before the game that it was not smart to play him another 90. There is a lot to be said about the players I constantly play, and I have to keep them fit. I have to manage their load. It was yesterday when the performance staff came to me and said if we would have had an extra day, he wouldn't have trained yesterday to recover a little bit more. So then you were always in a certain risk zone, and I already had to make a substitution in the first half. So that means if you leave him on and you take him out at 60, your second substitution is left. So that is why I decided to take him off at halftime, because it was always the intention to take him off somewhere in the second half. I did it now a little bit earlier. In the second half of the game, Liverpool fought back to level things at 2-2, only for Amin Adli to score a 95th-minute winner to steal the points for Andoni Iraola's side. News headline: Liverpool approached Xabi Alonso over head coach role. Here's what he said. Arne Slot is under intense pressure after Liverpool lost once again on Saturday. Their last Premier League win came on December 27th against Wolves, and it's now just 4 wins from their last 18 Premier League matches. It's an unbelievably terrible run of form, comfortably the worst in Liverpool's modern history. It's also worth noting what those wins were. A 2-0 win against Aston Villa had big slices of luck involved. The 2-0 win against Brighton was a solid one, no doubting that, but the others were a narrow victory against 9-man Tottenham Hotspur and a narrow victory against bottom-of-the-table Wolves. And that's it. That's all Liverpool have in their wins column since the defeat to Crystal Palace in October. Liverpool approached Xabi Alonso. And so that's the backdrop to which Liverpool approached Xabi Alonso, or at least that's the line from AS in Spain that claim the Reds have reached out to the former Real Madrid coach to see if he's available. No decision on Slot has been taken, however. Liverpool simply want to know if their former player is available before deciding what to do. And they've received a positive response in that regard. Alonso is available and willing to take the job if Liverpool offer it to him. Now the club must decide. Does Slot go? Does he see out the season? We imagine it comes down to whether they believe a top 5 finish is likely. It's difficult to put into words just how disastrous it would be for Liverpool to miss out on UEFA Champions League football next season, after all. They spent over £400 million in the summer. Collapsing like this was inconceivable. But with Alonso available, they may see another path.
News headline: Fabrizio Romano confirms Liverpool remain in talks over a truly crazy transfer, according to Fabrizio Romano. What are they doing here? Liverpool's transfers are under intense scrutiny after an extraordinary summer spend has sent the team backwards. The Reds are comfortably out of the title race with months to run, and now their place in next season's UEFA Champions League is under significant threat. And that's on the back of that spend. Over £400 million went out on players, but you've also got to question the $200 million plus in player sales. The Reds moved on some very solid squad members, lightening Arne Slot's options. Now, whether that was at Slot's request or not, it's something that looks incredibly poor in hindsight. Even stranger, Liverpool aren't making January moves to correct things. They're putting their season in even more jeopardy, in fact, as they look to complete a truly bizarre sale. Fabrizio Romano confirms Andy Robertson talks. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Liverpool remain in talks with Tottenham Hotspur over Andy Robertson. Robertson is out of contract in the summer, but could now leave early. And it's a truly ridiculous transfer. Liverpool are already down a center-back and a right-back for the season, leaving Joe Gomez covering both roles. Is he to cover left-back too? In fact, he's now injured after the Bournemouth defeat. Perhaps the club decide to bring back Kostas Tsimikas from his AS Roma loan in order to cover Milos Kerkez. But then, the only reason they're able to do that is because Roma aren't playing Tsimikas, don't believe he's good enough, and have no use for him. There was a sense that Liverpool might have learned their lesson on Saturday, as Kerkez struggled badly against his own team. Be it through a lack of fitness or quality, Bournemouth targeted him in that first half and did so to great success. That led Slot to swap him out for Robertson at halftime, and that did help Liverpool establish a bit more control down that flank. It was about as positive a sign as you could need for why keeping the Scot until the summer is a good idea. And yet, Liverpool are still set to sell him to Spurs. News headline: Richard Hughes' massive Liverpool failure set to cost Arne Slot his job. Liverpool's 2025-26 season has been a bit of a roller coaster. The Reds started off the campaign as they ended the previous term, but from that point on, they've never really been in a consistent run of form. Granted, they have gone on a bit of an unbeaten run over the last couple of months, but since that's now been stopped thanks to their 3-2 defeat against Bournemouth on Saturday, it feels like the Anfield outfit are back to square one. Of course, there have been some games when Liverpool have met expectations and have proven why they won the Premier League last season, but more often than not, it feels like Arne Slot's men are a shadow of their former selves. But despite all of Slot's shortcomings, it's one of Richard Hughes' failures that could end up costing him his job. Richard Hughes not signing a center-back could cost Arne Slot his Liverpool job. One of the main questions that has been asked about Liverpool this winter is whether they're going to sign a new defender or two. It's clear that the Reds' defense has been one of their main problems this term, with players such as Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson often underperforming. Many fans expected the Anfield outfit to make another move for Mark Gahey after his failed summer transfer, but in the end, that's not how things seem to have panned out. However, now that Joe Gomez is out injured for an unknown length of time, Liverpool's lack of recruitment could be the final nail in Slot's coffin. Indeed, some fans may be thankful for this, after the Dutchman's recent decision-making has cost them a fair few points. But the fact that he could end up losing his job because of something that Hughes has done, rather than something he's done himself, is rather shocking. Liverpool must sign a new defender as Joe Gomez is injured for an extended period. Even before Gomez got injured against Bournemouth, most fans knew that having him as the Reds' only backup center-back was an accident waiting to happen. On his day, the Englishman could be classed as one of the Premier League's best center-backs, but due to his injury history, he always seems to put Liverpool on the back foot. Gomez's injury history is one of the main reasons why the Reds need some new defenders as soon as possible. If the defender was able to stay fit, due to things such as his versatility and his vast Premier League experience, he could be one of Liverpool's most important players. But consistency-wise, it feels silly for Liverpool to not at least explore a transfer or two, especially since they're still fighting for the Premier League and the Champions League. If a new defender isn't signed before deadline day, it could be curtains for Slot.
News headline: Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer's perfect pick for Liverpool manager has become available. Liverpool conceded a brutal last-minute goal against Bournemouth in the Premier League, heaping even more pressure on Dutch manager Arne Slot. Saturday night saw another disappointing result etched into the history books for Arne Slot. Whether the 3-2 loss against Bournemouth will decide the Dutchman's future remains to be seen, but there is certainly much pressure on him right now. He won the league last year, and while that is a hugely commendable achievement, to spend $450 million on new players and then fall off a cliff the following season leaves you with more questions than answers. Whether Liverpool will follow Chelsea and Manchester United in making a mid-season change is unclear, but if Slot does wave goodbye before the end of the campaign, there is a very suitable candidate for the job. Speaking on the Rest is Football podcast in late 2023, football heroes Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer earmarked Xabi Alonso as a potential replacement for Jurgen Klopp. Now, 2 years on, their words are as relevant today as they were then. Alonso left his position as Real Madrid manager in early January after just 8 months in charge and is now available to new clubs. Shearer said, "He, Alonso, is getting rave reviews, isn't he? He started his coaching and managerial career really well. It won't be long if he keeps on going before others are starting to look at him, if they haven't already, and then you never know, do you?" Lineker replied, "I think there's every chance that once Carlo Ancelotti walks away or is pushed out, as is often the case at Real Madrid, he might end up there as manager of a certain Jude Bellingham. Also, he could possibly follow Jurgen Klopp further down the line. With these things you always do, don't you? There is always going to be Steven Gerrard." Shearer responded, "In 12 months' time, that might all change, but it does look as though he's going to be around for a long time at the top, doesn't he?" As a player, Alonso enjoyed a stellar career at the elite level of the game, playing for Liverpool, Madrid, and Bayern Munich. After his playing career, Alonso announced himself to the management world by turning Bayer Leverkusen into European heavyweights. They became the first Bundesliga team to go undefeated in a season, finishing 51 games unbeaten across all competitions in the 2023-24 season. Despite securing the dream managerial move to Madrid, things didn't work out for him. Alonso was at the helm for only a season and became the 11th manager to last less than a single campaign under club president Florentino Perez. With so many big names and personalities at Madrid, Alonso had a hard time managing them all. Vinicius Jr. stormed down the tunnel after being substituted late on in the El Clasico a few months ago, with Fede Valverde publicly voicing his frustrations at being selected as a fullback. Vinicius issued an apology, but to everyone except Alonso. Clearly, there was a disconnect at Madrid, and now Alonso will be looking for a new challenge. Just 5 days ago, Spanish publication Marca revealed that Alonso would be taking a break from management to spend a few months with his family in San Sebastian. However, it also said that if Liverpool come calling before July, all bets are off, and Alonso would accept the offer and get started. To Liverpool, we all know he will go soon, sooner or later, it reads.
News headline: Liverpool initiate positive Xabi Alonso talks amid fresh Arne Slot doubts. His job is on the line. Report. The Reds suffered a painful 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth yesterday, with Amin Adli notching a 95th-minute winning goal for the Cherries, and that has led to fresh speculation over Slot's future. Liverpool, like any well-run club, are doing their due diligence on potential replacements for Slot, in case they are forced to sack the Dutchman. Xabi Alonso, who was sacked by Real Madrid earlier this month, has long been linked with Liverpool. The Reds seriously considered appointing him before he left Bayer Leverkusen for Los Blancos, and he still has admirers among Anfield Chiefs. According to Spanish outlet AS, Liverpool have been in contact with Xabi Alonso's entourage, and the discussions have been positive. The Spaniard is said to know that he would be welcomed back to Merseyside. Meanwhile, Slot's position as Liverpool manager is on the line, and he hasn't been helped by the defeat to Bournemouth. The fact that Xabi Alonso is without a club and is a free agent undoubtedly makes him a leading contender to replace Slot should he be axed, but he is not the only target on the Reds' radar. Xabi Alonso on Liverpool's radar amid Arne Slot pressure. Sources at Liverpool have consistently stated that they continue to back Slot. He still has plenty of credit in the bank after leading the Reds to Premier League glory last term. This season was always going to one of transition for Liverpool, too, after they splashed close $450 million on new additions over the summer. But that mammoth outlay also brings more pressure for quick success, and we have reported how Liverpool have contingency plans in place should they decide to sack Slot. Along with Xabi Alonso, we understand that Crystal Palace's Oliver Glasner, Marseille's Roberto De Zerbi, Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola, and Porto's Francesco Ferrioli are all on the radar of the Liverpool hierarchy. Liverpool face Qarabağ in the Champions League on Wednesday, before a Premier League clash against Newcastle next weekend. Failure to achieve wins in either of those Anfield fixtures will further add to the pressure. As for Xabi Alonso, it is unclear how long he will wait to return to management, but if Liverpool were to make a serious move for him, he'd no doubt be very tempted to join. Latest Liverpool news. Ex-Everton star wanted. €100 million bid claims. Meanwhile, our transfer insider, Graham Bailey, has reported that Liverpool have reignited their interest in Fulham left-back Anthony Robertson. The Reds are considering a move for Robertson, a product of Everton's academy, to potentially replace Andy Robertson, who is expected to join Tottenham imminently. In other news, a report from Spain has shockingly claimed that Liverpool are preparing a €100 million, £86.7 million offer for Real Madrid midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni. Liverpool's search for a dominant midfielder is a priority, per the report, and it has led them to focusing on Tchouameni again, a player they wanted in 2022.
News headline: Amateurish moment in Liverpool defeat piles pressure on Arne Slot as FSG shortlist 4 replacements. Pressure is once again building on Arne Slot after Liverpool suffered a 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth on Saturday, and an amateurish moment in the clash certainly hasn't helped him, while the Reds' hierarchy have identified potential replacements for the Dutchman. The Cherries will feel they deserve to take all 3 points from the clash. They went 2-0 up through Evanilson and Alex Jimenez before goals from Virgil van Dijk and Dominic Szoboszlai leveled the scoring, but a dramatic 95th-minute winner from Amin Adli meant it was a long trip back to Merseyside from the south coast for Slot and his team. Liverpool are still 4th in the Premier League table, but their position is precarious. Manchester United, Chelsea, Brentford, and Newcastle all have the chance to go above them if they win their respective matches today. Jamie Redknapp highlighted one baffling moment in the first half of the Bournemouth loss. With the score at 1-0 to Bournemouth, Liverpool had just 10 men on the pitch as Joe Gomez was injured. Slot shouted at his team to kick the ball out of play, but they didn't listen, and the Cherries notched a second. Slot was visibly furious. "You get 7 minutes to make the sub. I have no idea why they didn't make the change. Could Alisson kick it out play just to make the sub?" Redknapp said at halftime. "They get him on too late. Arne Slot wanted Alisson to kick it out of play, but he doesn't see it. It's amateurish." Liverpool have contingency plans in place. Many supporters have vented their frustrations on social media, with some calling for Slot to be relieved of his duties immediately. But it's important to note that Liverpool had been on a 12-game unbeaten run before losing to Bournemouth, and the Dutchman rightly has credit in the bank after leading his team to the Premier League title last season. As our insider Fraser Fletcher reported earlier this month, Liverpool's owners, Fenway Sports Group, FSG, continue to back Slot, but they have contingency plans in place in case he fails to meet the club's targets. Failure to qualify for the Champions League this season would raise serious questions, and with the league table so close, there is of course a risk of that happening. With this in mind, sources have confirmed that Crystal Palace's Oliver Glasner, Marseille's Roberto De Zerbi, Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola, and Porto's Francesco Farioli are all on the radar of the Liverpool hierarchy. The Reds continue to back Slot, but the questions won't be going away unless his team can bounce back quickly. They will face Qarabag in the Champions League on Wednesday, a game Liverpool will be expected to win, before a tougher test against Newcastle in the Prem next weekend. Latest Liverpool news: a shock report from Spain has claimed that Liverpool are preparing a €100 million, or £86.7 million, offer for Real Madrid midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni. It is claimed that Liverpool's search for a dominant midfielder is a priority, and it has led to them focusing on Tchouameni again, a player they targeted back in 2022. In other news, my colleague Graham Bailey has reported that Liverpool have reignited their interest in Fulham left-back Anthony Robertson. The Reds are considering a move for Robinson to potentially replace Andy Robertson, who is expected to join Tottenham imminently.